Welcome to Homeschooling for Spirituality. The Flow is a delightful mix of insight, divine inspiration, and humor, where wisdom meets earthiness to help your ongoing spiritual growth and transformation. Follow the flow of enlightenment and explore everything spiritual through the deepest self-inquiry, as student Lisa Berry asks Master Spiritual Teacher G.P. Walsh the kinds of questions you would ask an elder, a wise man, or a sage, and receive direct, simple, comprehensive, and deeply human lessons and teachings. From transcending the experience of separation, releasing old conditioned patterns and wounds, and alleviating suffering, to demystifying esoteric practices and revealing one's true purpose and innate freedom. Welcome to the flow of enlightenment. Transformation is all there is. Welcome everyone to the flow of enlightenment. Hello, G.P. Walsh.
Hello, Lisa. Good to see you again.
So formal.
Yes. Ms. Berry.
I'm so glad. Yes. I'm so glad that we're here today. Today is such an interesting, as we like to do our little spin on our titles, the fountain of truth, not youth. But you know what? Truth does certainly keep us young, I think. I think the non-truth is what ages us in fear.
Yes,
and so,
true. Yep.
GP, it's true. Yes, it's true. So GP, I'm going to kick this entire one off right now, the Fountain of Truth, and let the listeners know that this is a call-in show, and I'm going to announce the phone number here, and we'll keep doing it throughout, and I'll be keeping my eyes on who's calling in. But the number is 202-570-7057, and this is an invitation for you guys to call in live here right now and ask GP some questions and have him give you some guidance. And because we're all on this map, like we're reading a map, we don't know if we could have it upside down or folded or unfolded because we're just trying to get to the fountain of truth, GP.
I majored in map folding in college.
Yes. I remember those days. You're like, where the heck am I? Here's the first question. How do we know? Okay, so imagine you're looking at the map and you're like, okay, I kind of want to get to here. I want to get to the fountain of truth. Where am I on this map? And you know how you're looking, you're like, well, where am I? Do we need to identify where we are to even begin this journey of truth?
Wow, what a great question. To recognize where you are is stepping into the truth.
Oh.
It's not this amazing destination out there somewhere. Every time you're honest with yourself, every time you see things as they are, every time you're willing to see things as they are, you've taken a sip out of the fountain of truth. I mean, truth is not something you get to. It's not a destination. It's the truth of you, right? So it's already here, right? You can't go anywhere. That's why the map's so odd, because a map is always to somewhere else. How do you make a map to you?
Right.
You have
Yes.
to
Oh my
sort
gosh.
through all of the falsities. If you want, the truth isn't something you have to get, right? That's the nature of truth. It's self-existent. You have to simply free yourself from what isn't true. And that's why this is such an interesting path to follow. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. But you believe that there is. So the truth, the fountain of truth, is the reality that there's nothing wrong with you. The belief that there is manifests in our life as all of our experiences, and manifests as us seeking truth out there, looking for maps, consulting with people who are supposed to know, going through the 10 steps or the 3 magic keys or whatever,
Yes.
whatever it is. But all of those take you a destination outside of yourself. You're already there. That's the sweet secret.
I love that you're already there. I was just laughing at your earlier beautiful quote, Zen quote that you're going to have to say it for me because I don't remember it. Standing beside the fountain.
I spent my whole life selling water, standing by a river.
Yes. I did picture that. That made me giggle.
Yeah.
How come I feel like we're so easily duped, or how can we believe we're so easily tricked, like that we're broken? Like, did we not come well equipped here with enough truth to go, that's not you?
We did, but we were educated out of it. We were all, look at it. Look at children. It's pure truth, right? It's not intellectual. They're just being them. They're alive. They're vibrant. They're curious. They reach for everything. They're innocent. Nothing is duplicitous about them, right? And that's truth, right? And truth for me is a living thing. It's not an idea or a concept. It's life as life actually is. And children and animals express that consistently and all the time. But what happens is we get enculturated into thinking about life rather than being life. And so now life is like something happening out there, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like people talking about the universe, right? As if the universe is everywhere but here. I'm looking to the universe. Well, what are you? You are the universe.
Right, yes.
That sense of separation is completely mental. It's conceptual. It's an idea. And so we really think of ourselves as, compressed inside this little form, and that the universe and infinity and God are all somewhere else. Somewhere other than here.
I'm guilty. I'm totally guilty.
If it's infinite, it's here. If it's the universe, it's here. If it's God, it's here. It can't be out there. Otherwise, even God would have a limit.
Yes. I'm laughing that you said it's here, because usually when you go look at a map, it says you are here. And then it gives you the little pinpoint.
How do they know that? God, they're smart.
Oh, I'm never going to look at maps the same again. When you mentioned children, a personal thing is funny is that when I was much less comfortable with myself, and maybe this is better to say, when I was separated from myself, I was more uncomfortable with myself, and I really, really was uncomfortable around children, because they say the darndest truest things. Right? Is that true? Is that the more we are separated from ourselves, that we are uncomfortable in our own skin?
Well, you're uncomfortable with the idea that you have of yourself, because you're not you anymore. You're carrying around an idea that isn't you. And of course that's not going to be comfortable. You've just taken a whale that likes to swim in the ocean, and you stuck it in a swimming pool, and you're wondering why it isn't happy.
Right. Yes. Can we ever be? Is it important for recovery at any point to be in a swimming pool just until we rehabilitate?
Well, the beauty of it is the truth is the truth is the truth. You can't get rid of it. It's a rediscovery. It can't be lost.
Right.
You've just been wandering through the house looking for your keys, and they're in your hand.
Yes.
Or your glasses on the top of your head, right? You're just looking in the wrong place. It's the story of the man who's out under the street light, and he's looking all over the street, and some guy walks by and says, "What's the problem?" He says, "I lost my keys." He says, "Oh, let me help you." And so there are two of them now are out there looking through they've just scoured everywhere. He said, and the guy, he says, "Are you sure you lost them here?" He says, "Oh no, I didn't lose them here. I lost them over there, but there's no light over there."
Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, that's so profound, actually. That's crazy. Wow.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It's what we all do so much. And I gotta go back to this. The truth-seeking thing is funny, because what is it about when we say we're trying to find the truth of a situation or of an event or from somebody else. Like when we're saying to them, asking them for them to tell the truth of like that, an event or a thing that's going on. Is that the same word? Are we using the word truth in a different context there?
Yeah. I wish we had a different word. That's not truth. That's just the most acceptable story.
Ooh, that was good. Well, okay, I'm writing that down. Thank you. That just hit me because a lot of people call themselves truth seekers, but really what they are... No, I'll ask you. What are the truth seekers therefore looking for if they're asking if their mate, is cheated on them, or if the child stole the cookie from the cookie jar, or all these kind of truths that we're saying, what is it they want to hear or looking for?
Well, you could look at it in terms of, there are facts, right?
Okay.
The baseball game ended. It was 3-2. The score. That's a fact, right?
Yeah.
And that's simple. And you can see it's neutral, right? Who cares? But now you'll listen to 100 news commentators all giving you a different truth as to what it was and why it happened, and this guy, it shouldn't have been that, it was a bad day, and the stars weren't aligned, and right, all looking for some kind of an explanation for what is just a simple thing sitting in front of you. That is the seeking of an interpretation, and the seeking of interpretation is always seeking something, that I'll like, and that interpretation is always warped. It's always bent, Isn't it weird how in these stories I'm always the good guy?
Right? Yeah, we like that.
How about that? No, everybody else is the bad guy. Yeah, it's very funny. How come I'm always the hero, right?
Yes.
Or the dupe, depending on what story you have. But we're so used to. It's become so habitual and so fast that what we experience is immediately interpreted according to our conditioned patterns. So fast that we can't tell the difference between our story about something and the actual thing itself. And it happens so fast, we think they're the same thing. I think my interpretation of what's happening is what happened. And in fact, it's only a perception, and it's limited, and it's finite, and it's incomplete, and it will never be right.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny. I, as a health person and nutritionist, I'll have a thought. So there you go. My perception, my thought, and I'll research it, and I'll just see. Literally, the whole article probably has 1,000 words in it, but I think I see 3 words and they match. Oh my gosh, look, I was right.
That's right.
Like so fast.
As a matter of fact, the entire thing could be negative from top to bottom, but you'll find the thing that agrees with you.
Exactly. Yes. And so, oh my gosh, here are so many people who believe they have an illness. I have cancer, I have this, before they even really know. But then when they go to the doctor, they need to hear it to align with their now condition or current belief or perception, interpretation. And it could very well, the doctor might not even say that, but they'll hear something else. That is so interesting, actually. When we say to little children, now tell me the truth, why would a little child who is the truth tell a story or make up a lie to, because is that where it starts? So there's 2 questions. Yes, 2 questions.
Yeah, it's the fear of punishment. They don't want to be punished. And we learn very quickly that it's possible, that if we can deceive somebody, we won't be punished. And if we do that well enough and get away with it, it becomes a habit of life. And we lie to ourselves. Right? That's what really happens. We internalize it and we lie to ourselves. We don't experience ourselves as we actually are. And it's that capacity that allows us to be seduced by various kinds of habits and addictions and the like. It takes a certain amount of self-deception, right? So it can look to be different than it actually is. And it does start early on. It's just, when it's no longer safe for me to be myself, right? And it happens to all of us at some point in our lives. Who I actually am is no longer is no longer safe. I have to basically hide it away. In that moment, dishonesty begins to appear. Simple as that. Because, you are still there, but you can't come out. So what do? Right? If you do something that's naturally you, and you're going to get in trouble for it, you're going to try to pretend that it never happened. Right?
Yes.
You become Bart Simpson,
Yes, yeah.
I didn't do it. Nobody saw me did it. You can't prove I did it.
I could imagine you crossing your arms.
That's right. It was like that when I got here.
And then we convince ourselves that it in fact already truly was in our minds. Like there's so many ways and reasons and on that, because this is like I'm loving going deep on this because this is real life. This is what people are struggling with. We're going to go to commercial. I'm going to give you the phone number one more time, everybody, so that when we come back, if you would like to call in, you could and can. It's 202-570-7057. And GP Walsh is here answering these questions because when I do come back, I am going to, we've done the truth, and now I would love to go with honesty and things like that, and how far away we can really truly become separated, and how do we get back? So please join us when we come back right after these commercial breaks and call in with your questions. The Flow of Enlightenment.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me the Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
I'm so not good enough. Fail. They'll judge me. I'm afraid others it's already been done.
Who are you not to fully express who you are, to be your warrior of light and do business from your fierce, aligned energy? I'm Rosalind Fung, host of Activate Your Soulgasmic Business here on OMTimes Radio. Let's get your business turned on to the next level. I invite you to hop on a business soul alignment discovery call with me at rosalindfung.com and let's monetize in your soul mission. Go to ROSALYNF as in fun, UNG.com.
I am Fidel Mshombo. I was born in a city called the Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom, everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America, and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Yeah, right. We're back, GP. And I'm gonna have a visual for everybody right now. And this is such a funny question. I can't believe it came to mind, but we're talking about the fountain of truth and any kind of signs and signals I can see along. If we had a man, I'm imagining now, if a person was born and then just left, they're left and dropped in the middle of a forest and never to have human contact ever, would we ever lie to ourselves? Would we ever become separated or have fear of punishment if we never came in contact with another human?
No. How could you?
Ooh!
You have to learn. You have to be taught. If you're raised by wolves or something like that, the wolves don't bullshit.
There's a T-shirt.
They have nothing to hide. They have nothing to hide. We think we do. I think Mark Twain said it beautifully. He says the human animal is the only animal that blushes and the only one that needs to.
That blushes?
That blushes. Yeah.
Oh.
And the only one that needs to.
Oh, yeah, because they're never really embarrassed. Yes, they do the silliest things, and they're like, I don't care.
No self-consciousness whatsoever. Yeah, so, yeah, it's learned. It's not natural.
So punishment isn't, punishment really is somebody, it's a human thing. It's not like a wolf, let's go with the wolves. They're not going to punish you for stepping out of line. I mean, it's quick to punish and then you move on because they say, hey, you weren't supposed to get the meat at that time. Back of the line. Is the punishment yes, then why do we know this and why do we do this to others? That punishment thing.
Because we're ignorant, right? Because it's not your nature, right? The behaviors have to be enforced on us. Because it's not natural for us to be restricted like that. It's just so it has to be enforced. And culture is pretty much a first chakra primitive thing, right? It's just an extension of the nervous system's desire to keep you safe, and safe means conforming to the culture. That's how it's kind of developed, as consciousness developed over time. But if we are truly ourselves, we don't need it, right? You don't need the law when you're fully yourself. You don't need something external to control you. And it's always carrot and stick. If you do what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to get the rewards, and if you don't, you get punished. That's the basis of all ethics and morality and most religions. It's controlling behavior rather than opening up the door to who you really are. Matter of fact, there's even this underlying assumption that who you really are is inherently bad and has to be controlled.
Yes.
That's the idea of original sin and that nonsense.
And the idle hands. If you're not doing something.
Idle hands, that's right. Idle hands. Yeah, keep those hands busy. Just don't touch yourself.
Yes, clap.
Busy with anything but that. Oh, brother.
And this is so interesting when you're thinking about how people are, it's kind of sad, I'm going to say that, but what about the person who, so I'm just imagining so many people along this different path, they're different, like you said, so many ways up the mountain. And the people who have realized it's just too much work to lie or not conform, so they are just out there being themselves, and they, no matter what, if they even did a horrible thing, it doesn't matter. They like, no, I'm going to say that I did it, it's me who did it, and I'm not going to be ashamed of this, and this is who I am. But that comes with it a different set of, can that work in society?
Well, yes, but it takes some wisdom to do it. If you just do it, blatantly and the like, you will get squashed. You have to be wise about it. You have to, you have to understand the nature of what you're dealing with. You have to understand the nature of the conditioned mind and the culture to which it gave rise. If you do, you can navigate that territory quite nicely and quite easily and quite harmoniously. You won't step on toes, and you don't have to be somebody other than who you are. But you do have to learn that. We have to learn how to deal in the world, right? The conditioning we all got as children wasn't a mistake. It had to happen, right?
Right.
I'm this old now, and I still don't run with scissors. I think it's a good idea.
Yes. I like that. And that's a very beautiful way of stating that, to say, we can just do it blatantly, like, nope, this is me, take me or leave me, and I suck, and I'm doing these horrible things, but guess what? I'm living my truth, right? And then I love that.
I'm living my truth. Oh my God. That can be just a nice way of not living it. We have to truly discover our truth. For many people, I'm just living their truth means they're just indulging whatever they want to. They're not questioning the nature of their indulgences. They're not questioning the nature of what they're doing. They're just giving their self permission to do anything they want to do. That's pure egotism, and it's extremely dangerous.
Oh my gosh, I love how you just said that, to do whatever they're just giving themselves permission to do whatever they want to do, but they still are, in fact, that could be like, oh, indulging. What another great, gosh, GP, you're good, okay. Because some people would like to give respect to, I try to respect those who say that. I'm just living my truth, but I can see now how, there's a grace that's needed to be, and the wisdom, and that comes from doing their own self-inquiry, and that's what we're here doing. You're teaching
exactly.
self-inquiry.
You have to question whether your truth is actually your truth. You've just given yourself permission to fully be the conditioned thing you're not.
Yes. To fully be the conditioned thing you're not. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's deep. Okay. Then, okay, that's a huge one. So I've been talking about diaries, writing in your dear diary or your journal. And let's say somebody does this. They're, since they're 8 years old, 10 years old, they're writing, they're keeping notes. Is it possible that we, in fact, actually are giving ourselves signs and little clues and breadcrumbs? Like, so when we're 40 and we go through the old boxes and we're like, oh, look at my journal. And then we read that. Is there a place to use those as on the self-inquiry journey, or is that just another form of ourselves that once existed and no longer does?
Well, it's kind of both. I mean, all the, I used to have, I used to write all the time, right? Everything I was doing was trying to get my head straight. I would write. I had page upon page upon page. For the longest time, I had, dozens of notebooks, hundreds maybe. And I carried them from place to place. And eventually I was reading through them, and it was, it was kind of like a dad looking through the pictures of his kids and things like that, right? There was a kind of a sentimental value to it. It was kind of, it was touching. And then I threw them out because they really weren't relevant. They weren't me anymore. And I'm here now. That process of doing things like that can be a way. When you're by yourself, you're writing. It's your own little secret world. You can admit things to yourself that you couldn't admit otherwise. And so it can be journaling, and those kind of things can be very powerful tools along the way. They can't take you all the way, but they can begin to develop within you a sense of honesty. And by honesty, I don't mean, that kind of indulgence. I mean a willingness to look at the character and quality of your own thinking, your own actions, your own being, who you are acting out. To actually look at that and see if it really fits with my kind of intuitive knowing as to who I am. And that's the magic ingredient. That's the truth. The truth is just that little voice that inside that makes you just feel something's off, something's wrong. This doesn't feel right. And if we don't have enough space inside to give a listen to that voice, we'll just suppress it and just kind of double down on the conditioned self, which isn't you. I have to emphasize that over and over and over again.
Yes.
It isn't you. The truth of you is still there. You don't have to get it. But the conditioned version of you was so well ingrained into the nervous system that you forgot who you were. The myths and legends are full of this stuff. It's the princess, right, that gets whisked away from the castle in the middle of the night and is raised as a peasant girl, not knowing she's really princess. Right? The truth is still the truth. She is what she is, even though she's lived this entire life thinking she's something else. It's the ugly duckling, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, but hold on a second. Then the ugly duckling does become, the handsome duck, but it's actually the ugly duckling. Hold on here.
Yeah, right. No, it finally got a look at its own face. And said,
right.
Oh. Or it's the lion that was raised by sheep. And so the lion would just kind of hop around. It would baa and stuff badly. It was really bad at being a sheep. And eventually, some old lion saw it and said, "What the hell are you doing here?" Bah, bah. He was still trying to run away from the lion. And the lion just grabbed him by the head and took him off and beat him up for a little bit. Stuck his face in the water, and he saw that his face, and he saw the lion's face, and little by little, oh my God, this isn't who I am.
Oh. Now that is that's a look into the fountain of truth, not just a sip.
Into the reflecting pond of truth, yes.
Yes, yes. Now, and speaking of taking a sip or a look into that fountain of truth, would you call that a transformation or an unveiling?
From one perspective, it's a transformation, right? Because my entire character is being transformed. But on the other hand, you don't transform into what you already are. This is the mystery of genuine non-dual spirituality. It appears as if a transformation has taken place. Somebody becomes more kind, more present, more compassionate, more thorough, slow to react. Those are the outward signs, and we say they were transformed, but they weren't transformed at all. Right? It's just more of them shining through. The clouds are getting thinner, and more of the sun is coming through. But the sun's been there the whole time. Who you are has always been there. You can't get rid of it.
Yes.
You try, but you can't.
That is so beautiful. You cannot transform from something you already are. That's very powerful. I love that. That's helpful for everybody who's feeling that right now, going, "Oh, I just wish I could transform my life." But transformation, it's a little easier to think, well, wait, I don't actually have to transform it magically. I just have to remove all the crap around it.
Yes, that's all you have to do.
Now, that removal can be beautiful, well, it is, but it can be painful. Why is it sometimes so heavy or painful or hard or difficult when we do start clearing those beliefs off of us?
Well, let's not forget, it's not like a belief, that I thought my team won last night and they didn't. Right? It's
Right.
not like that. It's your whole sense of identity, the way you've lived your life, the choices you've made, the people you've been with, the career you're in, the relationships, the clothes, the shoes you buy, have all been based on this self-image. And when you begin to realize that it isn't you and never has been, it's a shock. Right?
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about a couple of things. We're talking about every aspect of your life has been commandeered by a false sense of identity. So unraveling this puzzle is not something that's going to happen in a split second. And and our attachment to it, right, is welded completely into the very natural and powerful self-preservation mechanism of the whole nervous system. So it will feel as if a threat to my sense of identity is literally a threat to my life. It feels like I'm going to die. That's why it's referred to as a crucifixion. It feels like you're going to die. But without that kind of a death, there's no resurrection. And the resurrection symbolizes the reality of who you've always been. But that's something that has to be realized throughout the entire system. Lots of people have a spiritual experience. I was one with God. I felt one with the universe and all of that. And the next moment they're yelling at their kids, right, wondering what the hell happened. It's because the revelation has to go south. It has to move into the body. It has to start. That's just the first injection of the serum. It's got to actually spread and remove all the toxins from every cell. Every memory, every past experience, every past life.
Oh my gosh!
Well, the good news is you don't have to do it. You just have to stick with the truth. It'll do the work for you. But you're going to have to be actively engaged in the process, and that requires just humility, patience, love, a willingness to to be present with your own feelings, to examine the kinds of thoughts and things that are going through your head, to become conscious.
Yes. Yes.
To wake up.
GP, sorry, you hit a good bad nerve for me, because I remember even just as a nutritionist, and, I'm leading the way of, the conscious nutritionist, and then they'll see me eating, a potato chip, and they'll say, oh, and you call yourself a nutritionist, and I thought you were supposed to be I'm like, but I'm human too, and I have to, maybe I'm not supposed to be completely perfect this time around. I don't know.
Well, after Buddha's period of time, he was still Siddhartha, he wasn't even a Buddha yet, of just this incredible austerity, trying to basically punish his body to the point where it was just a belief that if you punished your body enough, you could go to get enlightenment. That's how you transcended the world.
Right.
And we finally realized it wasn't true. And he actually ate something. Some young girl gave him it was almost like a dessert. It was this sweet little thing, and he ate it. Right now, he probably weighed, 90 pounds, because his austerities didn't eat. It was down like 1 grain of rice, which is an exaggeration, of course, but, they'd eat, it was like Jains, they'd eat like dead leaves and, just whatever. I mean, the bare minimum to stay alive. They didn't bathe, they didn't wear clothes, they just slept in the elements.
Yeah.
When he did that, he was part of this group. There was a group of like 6 of them, and the 5 of them they abandoned him. That he was, he had abandoned the way, and they left him alone. they kicked him to the curb because he had done that. Right.
Is that separation not from self but from your group?
Yeah. I mean, he had to separate from the group because they represented what he now saw wasn't true.
That is probably one of the most helpful stories, and I want to come back to it actually, just because there's so many things right there talking about abandonment and everything. We're going to sneak away to commercial, but everyone, please come back and join us here. This is getting so good. To the flow of enlightenment here after commercial break, and we'll announce the phone number again so you can call in and ask any questions that you may have. Here with GP Walsh.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
All right there. Always exciting going on. Did I make you nervous?
You're having technical difficulties.
Oh, that's funny. I said we're going to talk about abandonment before we come back. Oh, all right, listeners. I just want to share with you this funny. I actually had to hang up and came back, but I want to make this invitation to everybody who is listening to call in. The number is 202-570-7057, and this is something. GP, this is abandonment, and I'm going to tie this into something that an ebook that you've actually written, and we're putting it back out there, newly back on the shelf, available. And I'll say that in a minute. But I wondered if there's a tie with abandonment to that, and I just talked to the GP there privately, almost there. But abandonment. Why do people have such a big thing like fear of abandonment? Is that one of the toughest and most strongest fears that we have?
Yes. We're made to bond with one another. We're part of families. The animal nature, we're a pack animal, right? We do things together. We form groups, tribes, in addition to the family. And when you look at it from the point of view of survival and evolution, it was, simply an evolutionary step, and we're not the only ones. Pretty much every mammals aren't loners. We bond with each other and we form groups. Birds do as well, right? They have their flocks and the like. And so it's completely natural for us to do that because when we do, we survive better. So it's kind of built into the human body that being part of the group, good, being rejected by the group, bad. And because the reality is, if you were rejected by the group, the likelihood is extremely high, almost 100%, that you're going to be dead. You can't survive on your own. And so that relationship to the group is inherently all important to us. The problem is that when that becomes usurped by a culture, which is much more mental, it isn't about the survival of you anymore, or even just the integrity of the tribe. It becomes about the survival of the culture as a whole. And so that energy that is very natural now gets absorbed in a very unnatural way. And out of that you get things like nationalism and racism and cultural pride and things like that, and bias and bigotry. Those all arise out of the artificial application of what in fact is extremely natural to us, and that's just the desire to bond. And we feel safer. And of course, let's face it, children, unlike pretty much any other mammal on the planet, the human child, we're almost completely incapable of surviving till we hit puberty.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
If we're abandoned, as children, we're dead. And so any sense of being rejected or pushed away or in any way criticized by the tribe, by mom and dad, and by extension the rest of the tribe, is interpreted by your nervous system as life and death. Yeah. So when mom slaps your wrist, that isn't just a slap on the wrist. I'm going to be thrown out and die. That's how your body interprets it. So you can see the pressure to abandon who you are and become somebody you're not that actually fits that mold it's irresistible, because the body won't choose death. It'll chew its leg off to get out of the trap. And that's what we do.
Yes, and just that's perfect. That was actually, that makes so much sense. I could feel that, and every person in my life, I just, flashed through my mind, who's ever so bold and say that. You mentioned the word pride, that we get, our pride not gets in the way. Well, maybe it does. Is there ever a good time to have pride?
Well, there's the pride that is simply a sense of well done, right? Just kind of a recognition and the quality of work. There's a naturalness to that. But like everything else, once the egoic mind gets a hold of it, It gets twisted. It gets taken. As something for personal aggrandizement, right? On one hand, the child is just being the child, right? And we love them, and we're just amazed. A kid comes into the room, and everybody's eyes are on it. They're just watching it, right? And it's not doing anything. It's just being itself. It has no pride in what it's doing. But later on, we're comparing ourselves to others. We're trying to, we're competing for our place. We're competing for mates. We're competing for jobs. And all of a sudden, now my accomplishments become my personal possession. It's not just my nature that's doing it. The songwriter really thinks he wrote that song, right? But the reality is, somebody who has written a lot of music is, I have nowhere. It came out of nowhere, and I can no more take the credit for it than I can the fact that I have blue eyes. I don't know where it came from. I just know I didn't do it, right? Right. But that's a spiritual insight. Somebody else, oh, this is who I am. Look at that. I can write music, or I can write a book, or I can shoot baskets better than anybody. That sense of I gets imposed upon what in fact is simply a natural occurrence. That's the kind of pride or arrogance that, the truth can never be revealed in an arrogant mind. It's that simple.
That is very powerful, especially when you say about the accomplishment. Accomplishments aren't possessions. And that's, I think, we've really lost our way. Many of us have lost our way with that one. And that'd be a nice thing to transcend for sure. You have written an ebook, a book, and it's an electronic format for now, and it's called Angels in the Basement. And I thought it was really fitting how it kind of rolls into this one. Could you share with us what Angels in the Basement, who are they, why are they in the basement, and why did you write about this? And then I'll point out the thread here that I came to.
Well, you've heard me, and I suppose many of our listeners have heard me say this many, many times, that the initial suppression or fall from grace, the emergence of the separate self and a false sense of identity comes because we simply cannot be who we are, right? As a child begins to express itself, the culture begins to inhibit it, and it's just natural. There's nothing we can do about it. It has to happen. But the end result is then I'm expressing myself perfectly naturally. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing bad about it. It's beautiful. It's innocent, right? But it runs into the resistance or rejection from the tribe. Triggers that feeling inside of us that if I'm rejected by the tribe, I die. So it becomes a matter of living, of dying, or being somebody else and living, or being myself and dying. I mean, that's what it feels like at that age, right? And you just make your choice. And most of us choose to live, which means we suppress it. Now, what's being suppressed? All of your natural abilities, your qualities. Sometimes the very best part of you is being suppressed. It can't get out, right? So what happens? It is you. You can't get rid of it, right? Or God knows we try through every means we can possibly think of, but you can't get rid of what you are. So it has to be buried. It's like holding a beach ball underwater. It takes this enormous amount of energy to keep it down. And yet we do. Layers upon layers to do that. And then once we've created a different personality and we've rejected all this stuff, these things coming up feel like what we would call negative emotions or bad feelings, right? Or negative self-talk. And we think, oh, it's a horrible thing and I've got to get rid of it. But what it really is the reality of you. It's your best part. They're angels in the basement. They're the power you've been seeking. They're the authority you've been seeking. The energy you want to transform your life. It's those voices. But they've been suppressed, they've been obscured, they've been pressed down, and they've been given bad press. They've been told, you have been told that they're bad and you can't listen to them. And so you don't. And so they feel like devils, but in fact they're angels. And that shift in perception kind of opens the door to you begin to start being with your own feelings, especially the uncomfortable ones. And the end result is you find they aren't negative at all. They were just not allowed. But if you start allowing them, what happens? You find you again. You find the fountain of truth. And you found it's in you, and it's never gone anywhere. It's always been here. You mistook it for this nasty voice. That's not what it was.
Here's the thing.
That's why I gave it the term angels in the basement.
It's so helpful right now because I'm imagining, all right, I'm going to open the door and those angels are going to come up. I'm telling them it's safe, but do I need to prepare the main floor for them to come up? Is there, do they need chairs? No, I just mean safety. Do we need to, if we haven't...
Am I going to feed them dinner? Are they vegetarians?
Is it cheap?
Well, yeah, because when they first start coming up, they're going to look like devils.
Right.
They're not going to show up in angelic garb and lights and rainbows and unicorns.
See, there you go,
and that's crappy, angry, belligerent, resistant voices that are pissed off that they've been down there for your whole life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. And they're going to start now. Would a person going through that start looking around and start going, "All right, that's right. This angel can now. I'm letting it speak or talk, and now I'm going to go yell at my parents for being crappy to me," or it might show up that way, or no, hopefully not.
Well, if it does, you've missed the point. Being with them means to be with them. The moment you turn around and start expressing, rather than it's just another way of resisting actually feeling them, right? And eventually you realize that the only reason your parents did that is because all of their angels in the basement.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense. I can imagine them. So when they come up, they're devils and they're screaming and saying this and that, but it's more of a, your compassion comes through, and it's not even just forgiveness because there's nothing done wrong, but it's just that being with them is now, you don't need to express, like you said, that you don't need to turn around. It just won't happen that way because you've done that work.
Right. It doesn't happen in that way. You're just being with them, and you stop suppressing them, and you start listening to them. And you do that long enough, and eventually the message gets clear that you're no longer fighting them. The conflict is gone. You have finally become safe for yourself to come out. You can't ever make your parents of the tribe safe for you. That's a waste of time.
Right.
But you've internalized the tribe, so you're not safe for you. That's all self-help is an attempt to get rid of those voices. That's all it is. And so we end up doing to ourselves exactly what our parents did. We become the guards in the prison, right? Instead of them. If we stop being the guard and we just open the door, they're going to smell bad. they're going to look kind of bitter, right? They haven't bathed in a while, right? Uncouth, unmannered, right? But if you just take it, right? Sorry, my bad. Eventually, the message goes across. I have become safe for you. I've started to give myself the one thing I always wanted, acceptance for who I actually am.
Oh my gosh. So you guys, right now, this is what I love that. When we want to be able to say, I've become safe for the angels in the basement, and on that, how you can get this right now. GP, you're just wonderful, and I love that this is a possibility that you're offering this book for free right now. What you guys want to do is go to gpwalsh.com, and you can see it right there on the... Oh, did we do that? Did we do that?
It'll be done by the end of the day.
Okay, yeah.
So we can say it. It's okay.
Perfect. Okay, we can say that. Yes. So please go on over there, sign up, get on the newsletter, the Light Letter, and get a copy of The Angels in the Basement. I feel like everybody right now, if you've been even thinking like, gosh, I've been doing self-help forever, and I'd like to go further and get more from this and be more of my truth. I feel like this will be the book for you, and this is just already so. And then you can call in next Tuesday, and ask all the questions that you need to, or join the Facebook group, which is GP Walsh Spiritual Teacher. But you know what? Go to the website and make contact with us so that we know that you're there, that you're listening, that you would like some more assistance and guidance, and to get that free copy. But GP, this is just another in the flow of enlightenment show, and I always get so much. I have to sit for myself for a second after, but thank you, GP, so much for this time every Tuesday.
Are we done? It's over?
What?
Come on. Bye, everybody.
Caught you off guard there. Like,
you really threw me off. Oh my God, look at the time. Oh, love you all. Bye.
That's amazing. All right, everybody. We hope to see you next Tuesday. You are invited at 1 p.m. Eastern Time here on the Flow of Enlightenment with GP Walsh and Lisa Berry. Bye, everyone.